On the note of iwiwi and all other things, I believe that you've joined us here also to watch AM Ghana show, and it's now time for the political discussion. Thanks for joining us. We're streaming live on Facebook, Adwa TV Ghana, YouTube, Adwa TV GH. Well, this morning, there are a lot of things we want to talk about. The issue of the roads minister speaking about changing toll booths into urinals or latrines, like I said, and some other ones as well. Well, we'll also look briefly at the $6 million PAT. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources has slapped this amount on Maxam, and I think that in the Daily Graphic it's been captured as they've only paid $1 million. The rest of the 5 million, we don't know what is happening to it. So we'll also speak about it briefly, and then we'll look at Mohammed's comment about the current government not being able to manage the economy well, and we are in debt. We'll look at what really the truth is, and if it is really a politically inclined comment coming from the ex-president or from the minority. It looks as though they are in support of it. And so in the studio, I have with me the Honorable Member of Parliament for Tain constituency, Honorable Sulemana Adama. Tyne constituency. He's here in the studio with me. Honorable, you're welcome.
Thank you.
You look smart.
Thank you.
All right. And next to him is our very good friend we'll be speaking to. And at least for me, it is the first time I'm meeting him in studio. I'm speaking of lawyer John Agbote, MPP National Communications team member. Lawyer Agbote, you're welcome.
Thank you.
You look serious.
I'm very serious because Ghana, we are in serious times.
He's serious.
He's serious.
Well, how are you doing?
I'm fine by His grace.
You also look smart.
Thank you.
All right. So these are our guests this morning for the discussion. I hope you also join in the discussion on Facebook, sending your comments. Even if you have questions, you can also do so. Now that we have an honorable member of parliament here from Tyne, I hope I got it right, Tyne constituency, you can also send in your comments. Maybe you're watching from the constituency, you might want to ask your member of parliament some questions. You can also do so as well. But gentlemen, briefly, I'm sure we've all heard what the Honorable Minister for Roads mentioned yesterday, that is trending on social media, about changing about the 38 toll booths we have into urinals or latrine, like I called it. I'm sure, well, I'll start with you, Honorable. Yeah. What are your thoughts about that?
Thank you, my sister. I first heard this story on the social media. When I saw it, I read it. I didn't take it serious because I didn't think it was true. I never imagined, in my wildest imagination, the Minister for Roads will say that. So, you know, these days, there are a lot of stories on social media you need to verify before. Then we went to chamber yesterday. There were discussions about road network and bridges around the Afram Plains. So the ranking member on transport actually mentioned this issue about the toll booth in his presentation, in his of the committee's report. The minister came back to say the ranking member was ignorant and that he didn't know what he was saying, that he was misquoted. So I thought the minister would come and say, I didn't say that. But he said, oh no, he said it, but it was under a contest. And that the report from the Daily Graphic that he was quoting, he was misquoting out of context. And that basically it was true. He said something of that sort, but he said the site, not the booth itself.
The site.
The toll sites, not the booth, not the toll booth itself. We averred his mind to the fact that the booths were sited in the middle of the roads, and that it will be very difficult for us to say we are changing. But when you play the interview today, I was in the studio when I watched your interview that your correspondent had with him in Parliament. He clearly said it, toll booth. So we are waiting for how it will be done, and I'm actually surprised because we have said it, that the toll booths were there for some specific purposes. It was not just there for the economic venture that the government is getting. In fact, we are losing 225,000 Ghana cedis every day because of the closure of the toll booths. So for the minister to come to tell us that he's coming to convert the toll booth into urinals, it looks like we are cheapening governance. We are bringing a serious business like governance to a level that is unprecedented. And I'm surprised. I will be very much interested in getting the details about how it is going to be done. But from where I sit, it looks like the joke of the century.
Maybe it's going to continue when you get to Parliament, and so of course you get to know how they intend doing so. But Lawyer Agbotey, do you agree from what Honourable is saying that it's cheap governance with regards to the comments from the Honourable Road Minister? Do you think so?
Well, good morning to everybody watching. I extend my warmest greetings of the season to my people in Ablekuma North constituency and any other person who is watching us. Yesterday was my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday!
I didn't. Thank you. Thank you.
You didn't do party.
Oh no,
I
went on the low tone, you know. Okay. In the advent of COVID-19 and
you can make merry.
what have you can make merry, but on a very
low key.
Low key, yes, that is it. So coming to the minister's comments, well, I think that it is too early for anyone to put any justifiable conclusion on what the minister said. Well, especially when the Honourable Minister, my friend here, the MP for Tyne, is saying that yesterday there were conflicting positions from the minister and the ranking member of the committee that he went to yesterday. Actually, the minister had mentioned something. I don't know why he had decided to come out with it when it is not properly fashioned out or completed. As we speak now, there is no blueprint on that policy. But if you ask me, I would say that that would be a noble policy if put into fruition.
Changing the toll booth
yes,
into
it depends on how you do it. It depends on how. For example, if you take the Kasua stretch, the Accra-Kasua stretch of the road, we can not necessarily the toll booths, but at the end of it, because there's security there, the police are there, and there are people around, so there's security.
But so, not all of them.
So that you will not be, I'm coming there. Okay. So that you will not be exposed to robbers and all that. If you should stop and want to attend to yes. And for a token, I think that it is a laudable idea if properly implemented. That is my personal view.
Okay, so now it will not be taking fees from vehicles that as a toll booth was running, but now you're going to open public urinals close to the place.
If you do that,
to take some monies from
exactly. People. If you do that, for me, it is in the right direction. But in doing so, we must make sure that wherever we cite those places of nature's call, we should be able to provide some security, because highway robbery and other activities of some nefarious human beings, let me say miscreants on the highway, is common. And once you do that, you have to be sure that you don't expose the user of those facilities to any danger. So we must take. So it's not something that we can just sit down here and conclude upon. So for me, my surprise is for the minister to come out and say when actually there isn't a proper position on it. But it's a laudable idea. If you want to implement it, he goes and implement it. We are in this country. I'm not very comfortable with the word my honorable colleague used in describing it. He used a very low word. What did he say?
You remember the word?
No, you even repeated it.
Is it cheap governance?
Cheap governance. I'm not comfortable because we are in this country. Rashid Pepo is on record to have said that if people wanted employment in this country, they should go and gather stones and cut grasses and place it at vantage point for people to come and buy. Rashid, that is it. We did not. You are a member of parliament. So if you are talking about cheap government just because of a comment somebody has made, it is unfair to the government.
But you have also alluded to the fact that it's premature.
The fact that it's premature does not mean that it is cheap government. It is premature, fine. Say it is premature, but if you say it is a cheap governance, Then
you're using the right word.
Chief
I didn't
governance.
say chief government.
I said chief governance.
Very good.
Chief governance, sorry. So if you say chief governance, then of course you are creating a recipe for people to generalize or to say that the governance system in Ghana now is a cheap one that anybody can just get up and do anything. Too low. But you see, we had a member of parliament from his party made that comment, but we did not put that tag to it. So to say that it's a cheap
for that
governance.
comment, unless maybe you want to sideline the minority, that they are not even part of the government, because they're also part of government, because they go into parliament to make decisions for us, unless maybe you want to exclude them from that circle.
We are not excluding them.
Okay.
But they must be decorous and
my sister, the whole
in
minister.
in the choice of words and the description and the tax they put on government.
Okay.
And especially on an individual person's action.
But I'm not sure it will be a direct attack on the person's.
Not the person.
On the individual, but generalizing them.
Thank you.
That is what you are.
That is my
I've even been charitable. Yesterday, the Minister for Transport referred to the ranking member as ignorant. I said it's chief governance.
But it's ignorant and insult.
If you tell your colleague in the chamber, if you tell your colleague that he's ignorant, it has been ruled severally that it is an offensive word. And yesterday, the first deputy speaker actually ruled that the minister should withdraw that. Okay. If I say it's chief governance, it's chief governance because for a minister of state, a whole minister for transport, just like he confirmed, without any consultations, without any detailed framework, without any plan, to mention to us that he's going to use the toll booths as a place of urinal. Okay. That is the extent to which this governance is going. So when I refer to it as chief governance,
you see where it's driving. You see,
so
driving at. That's what it's driving at, and that is what I want to see from those.
So, but you know, the video is there.
When you're talking, I allow you to talk. So you have to allow me to talk. You see, when you refer to Honorable Rashid People, I don't know where he made that comment. I don't know under which context he made that comment. But at that time, I know the way you behave. You would not have let it go. So at that time, people told him that those comments are not good. They are reprehensible. So today, I have the right to say it. As for chief governance, I'm being charitable, my brother.
So it means you could have used the worst word.
Yes, well, I just chose my words very well.
Okay, of course, that is also very good, because on TV you cannot just use any words.
Yeah.
Especially when it has to do with an attack on the person, on the persona of whoever said it. It becomes quite shady.
I'm happy it's not an attack now.
Yes, and so we'll have to also encourage these things. But you know, we have footages of videos of these comments from the Honorable Minister. Well, one thing came out, he says, I didn't say that, and so there was a justification to it and all. And it looks like we are all on the fence. We are not so, we are curious to know what really he said and what it means. For Lawyer Agbote, he thinks it's premature. He shouldn't have come out quickly to speak about this, because it had not been spoken about, it had not been dissected to get to the lowest point, to see the pros and cons of it, to know how feasible it is going to be. And so if that video is there, I think that we will be interested to watch it, and then you also watching will also have to learn from it, and then at least it will inform our choice of words and our decisions when we are making comments about this particular thing. So if the video is ready, let's see it before we can continue with that conversation.
It's just a small portion that has been turned out. You haven't had the opportunity to listen to the whole interview. Mr. Speaker, I was speaking to the press, and they wanted to know the future of all the toll booths. And among others, I said the ministry has plans and government has plans. We are thinking of a lot of ways to put the toll booths. And among them, I said that even the current toll booths, we have about 38 of them, at various vantage points in the country. And as part of it, we are even going to improve the sanitary situation at all these places. So it's just a small portion that has been turned out. You haven't had the opportunity to listen to the whole interview. Mr. Speaker, I was speaking to the press, and they wanted to know the future of all the toll booths. And among others. I said the ministry has plans and government has plans. We are thinking of a lot of ways to put the toll booths. And among them, I said that even the current toll booths, we have about 38 of them, at various vantage points in the country. And as part of it, we are even going to improve the sanitary situation at all these places.
I'm sure that now it is clear. We heard the Honorable Minister in Parliament explaining himself as to what he really said and how he thinks the media has just lifted a portion of what he said and are circulating. But if you ask me, it still comes back to what we are already seeing on social media, that what is the future of the toll booths? And that is what he had to say. But you know, English language is some way. Words, the usage of words is also some way. He says they are thinking. Thoughts are always here until they come into being or they are enforced. Then you see it manifesting. Then you can hold it responsible to someone or whoever is in charge of it. But if a question comes to you, what is the future of the tool? It means you are considering doing such a thing. For what you said, it means you are considering it. And so I'm not sure that in this case, like I mentioned earlier, it is a thought, and so it stays in the person's mind. No. So far as he's mentioned, it means that they are considering that move. And so, gentlemen, it is there. We have it now. Confirmed that that is what he has said, that they are going to. And I honestly, I am interested, like the Honorable Member for Time said, I want to know how it's going, because I never see anyone on these highways, especially where the toll booths are, parking to, unless maybe the person has developed a fault. And even that one, sometimes is very dangerous. That our motorway isn't friendly now. It is not friendly anymore because the road itself is in a very poor state. Before you can even talk about the size of the roads where people now use, because there are some homes at the ends of it and all that. And so, I want to really know how it is going to be done, like you mentioned. And for you to even add that, the Honorable Minister did not add it, but you have added certain things to it, that they're going to build these things at the sides of it, and then even take money.
I said they can.
They can. Okay, so the word was can.
Yeah.
So lawyer, if you are using can, then it means that
so they say they are going.
You have admitted that it is feasible. You have
yes,
admitted that it is good.
Very feasible.
It is good.
Yes, plausible.
In a country where we have a lot of things, a lot of priorities. Education is on our necks. Fuel prices are going up. We are not prioritizing certain things, health systems and all, but we want to create urinals at the ends of toll booths to take money from people who will be visiting the place. How many people will want to even stop by and use the place?
You see, we are not saying that it is government's priority to do that. The minister is even not conclusive on it. He's saying that they are thinking about it. And I am saying that if we, instead of leaving these facilities to go to fallow for nothing.
Which won't be a surprise, because there are others that are also.
Oh, no. So I don't subscribe to government or governments wasting resources. I don't. So if there are resources that are not being used at all, and we can put them to some use, why not? So what I'm saying is that if you can use those places, for example, and I started as an example, that we can put some washrooms at the ends. If people know that at this point I can get a place to attend to nature's call, they will aim at that. We don't have to. It has to start from somewhere before people generate the interest. If it's about security, I've spoken about it, and even monies were collected at that point, and we did not. And it was safe at the time. I think that the money that may even come from the nature's call places will be far less than what the toll booths.
We scraped off taking monies at the toll booths because of a particular reason. So why are we going to introduce another thing to still take money?
If you compare how, you see, I don't want this. I'm not even the authority to speak on that. Why government has decided to actually remove
Tolls.
or stop taking tolls at those points. But you see, what I'm saying is that instead of it going waste, we can put it to some use. And for me, that should be something that we must all support. That instead of it going waste, let's try to get something out of it. And getting something out of it is not a bad idea. And I'm saying that we don't need to invest that much. Just put 1 or 2 structures there. And when people know that at this point, when I get there, I'll have a place to comfort myself. When I'm driving, I'm aiming at that. So when I get, so as you get to a point, there may even be traffic jams at those joints. And there are means of trying to, and in these our days of whatever, we can even do urinal like you were saying. so it is possible. It's feasible. I am not the one to come out with the policies and implement it. But what I'm saying is that if we have to put these facilities to some use, I am in for it.
But let me quickly, before I come to Honorable, let me quickly ask you, what were the tolls that were taking used for? What in your view, what were the use of the tolls that were taking at the time when the tolls were still active?
The use of the monies that
Yes.
were collected.
What was it supposed to have done for government?
It was to help government raise funds. He's here. Maybe he will have to talk. If the ministry raises funds, there are diverse ways. But I think that for the toll booth, it's mainly to improve the road network.
And we've taken that for some years now.
Yes.
We've not seen any improvement on any of the roads, especially with the Temamoto Way. Nothing happened. But we are interested in raising or putting up buildings in the form of urinals to take monies there. And then
I have said that.
Use it as what?
I have said that I don't know the motivation that actually went into the decision to halt the taking of tolls at the booth. So I cannot speak to that one.
Thank you very much, Lawyer. Honorable Sulemana, why are we prioritizing things that are not of use, excuse me to say, or of great need to the ordinary Ghanaian or to Ghanaians or to the country? Because now we have other serious things that we are supposed to channel our energy, our funds, and our resources to. But it looks like much of the things, or most of the things that are coming up, are very they are inferior things that we are not even supposed to give too much attention to. And I am really surprised at the comments and then even the intent of changing these toll booths into urinal. I don't know what you think.
Thank you, my sister. I think there were 2 videos.
Yeah.
One of the videos was the original interview that the minister
the
granted.
He was asked the question.
You see, the day that he was asked the question.
Outside the chamber.
Outside the chamber when he granted the interview. I think that one is even more clearer about. It's about the intention clearly. Yesterday's own was an afterthought. Yesterday was as a result of the discussions that went on because of the routes that government proposes securing loan to go and construct. That's when the comment came in from the ranking member. And clearly from the minister's perspective, he means it. Because even yesterday when he had the opportunity, just like your video portrayed, he re-echoed the intentions. And what they, in the first place, was there a need to close the toll booths? No, there was no need. That is where I am coming from. That is where I use the word that my brother was not comfortable with. Because if the toll booths are supposed to be used for what they are using for, there wouldn't be the need now to go and find another use for it. We have a road fund that taxes are put in. We have a road fund that road tolls contribute. In fact, most of GOG roads, government contracts that use GOG, Government of Ghana money, most of them come from the road fund. A component of that road fund is from the road tolls. Okay. I told you that for every day that the road tolls have been closed, the booths have been closed, you lose over 220,000 Ghana cedis every day. We have trucks, big trucks that ply the road either from Ivory Coast, from neighboring countries, Burkina, they all pass through the roads to Accra. Landlord countries like Burkina and Mali all use Ghana. They ply their roads. Last week I was in Ashaman. You go to the meat market, go and see the number of trucks that come every day with either goats or sheep. All of them are not paying the tolls again. What were the rationale for abolition of the tolls? It is clearly stated in the budget that the government was trying to reduce congestions on the road and also to reduce pollution. These are the two reasons. So I beg to differ. Lawyer has got the competency to be able to discuss it. That you don't need PhD in the road network to be able to see that there were no major pollutants from the road toll booths, and that if government really intended to raise revenue, like they intend to raise revenue by 44% this year alone, you don't take away a revenue measure. You reduce your threshold for the tax measures that you are bringing, and then maintain the ones that you have, because nobody in Ghana had complained. Even if the road tolls had been increased, I bet you Ghanaians will have accepted that. They will have paid than to go and pay for e-levy. I know we will come there. So the very decision, and that decision too had no legal backing. That decision to close the road tolls had no legal backing. Because when you present a budget to Parliament, it's a policy proposal. Until that budget is approved, you had no right, you have no authority to start implementing the budget when it has not been approved.
But did you raise concerns?
The concerns were raised. If you go to our Hansard, if you go to our records, even the speaker gave a directive that he's directing the road minister to reverse that announcement, purported to close the tolls, the toll booths. It was a direct. In fact, the chair, the ranking member on Committee of Transport raised this issue on the floor of Parliament when that letter came out. The following day, the issue was raised. Then the speaker gave his ruling and directed the minister to withdraw that letter. If he didn't know, withdraw that letter and make sure the toll booths worked. It was not done. But now the budget has been passed. The policy document has been passed. So it included, the policy document included abolition of the road tolls. So now it is legal. By the time that he started closing, when he closed it, it was illegal. Those are the things that we talk about. We need money. Why do we close the toll booth and go to another tax handle and look for that money there?
But Honorable, my point has been, you mentioned the amounts that we lose as a result of the closure. It means that when it was in process or when it was in being, that was the amount we were making.
For a day.
Why were we not able to use that to improve our road networks, especially the highways? And for one that is really, really on my heart, that is the Temamoto Way. That was a very good road, and now it looks very dilapidated. That plying it is very dangerous, and people cross at any time. It's not safe anymore. Why were we not able to use these monies that we were getting from the tolls to be able to improve the highways and then some other roads that we have in the country?
See, one of the busiest ministers in Parliament, as far as questions and activity on the floor of Parliament is concerned, is the road minister. Every blessed day, every blessed week, there are questions being asked of the minister for roads. Those are the things that we use the money for. So you may not see the money being used on the Tema motorway, but the road tolls, I told you that any amount, any contract that is awarded under GOG, you see, there are other, you know, we have COCO roads that was introduced by the former president. That amount of money comes from COCO proceeds, from the syndicated loan that we went to take. There are roads that are awarded under Government of Ghana. Those roads are awarded with the road fund. Part of the road fund is from the toll booths. So we may not have used the money in repairing the motorways and where the booths are actually located, which I think is a concern. But I think the money was used in the construction of other roads.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I think that we've had our take, or we've made our, or raised our concerns with regards to the comments from the Honorable Minister. But one other thing also has got to do with the former president, John Dramani Mahama's comments. Well, they are linking Ghana's issues, Ghana's monetary issues, where Fitch and then others have also ranked us, or they have percentage-wise given us some low marks there that we are not too happy about. And I think it's on the back of this that the former president also made these comments. The communications director for the NDC also passed a comment 3 days, some 3 days ago, about Ghana being broke, and making reference to some of these comments coming from the international institutions on how we are faring as an economy. I don't know what the government in power really thinks about that, but what we have heard is that they are not too happy about the percentages that we have gotten from the institutions that have given, the B negatives and then the CAA ones that we are seeing out there. Honorable, do you think we are doing fairly as an economy? And I hope that will not really politicize this. Do you think we are doing fairly as an economy? Is Ghana broke or not?
Thank you, my sister. How I wish I can turn this question back to you. But since you are the one asking me the questions, I will try based without political biases.
Yes.
It doesn't need to take former President John Dramani Mahama to say Ghana is broke. The writings are on the wall. The rating agencies, Moody, Fitch, S&P, had been the sing-song of this government since they came to power. You remember the Kenke Party? If you don't remember, I am reminding you. There was a Kenke Party in 2019 when Moody and Fitch rated this economy with a B+. When we were successfully able to enroll into a bond, the government led, the finance ministry led by the finance minister, organized a Kenke Party to celebrate that. In 2015, when we were graded, those times we were graded as B, that was the lowest grading that Fitch and Moody gave this economy. The current vice president, who is the head of the economic management team, said that these rating agencies, the ratings, depict lack of confidence in Ghana's economy. What is all these ratings about? The ratings are about the state of the economy, our ability to service our debt, the willingness of individuals and bond issuers to be interested in our bond. These are the issues. Today, I watch one of your sister stations demonstrating the effects of these ratings. People may not understand what is Fitch. They may not understand what is Moody. And I saw a senior journalist in one of your sister stations in Accra demonstrating that with Kenke. He was doing Kenke and Fitch analysis. What you used to buy for 3 cedis is now sold for 7 cedis. What you used to buy for 1 cedi is now 2 cedis. That is the extent of the impact of the ratings. What is the rate? Look at fuel prices. Look at the cost of doing business. All these issues come into play. Look at the amount of money that we use in servicing our debt.
So these are all components in the ratings.
These are components in the ratings
that are giving us a clear indication of how the economy is
performing.
Okay.
So it is not what President Mahama did is to say, is restate the obvious. It is not him who is creating artificial. If you let me land.
Okay.
Because if in 2016 you use 56% of your GDP in servicing debt, but you use 78%, the projection from Fitch and Moody is that we are going to use 83% of our GDP in servicing our debt. If you collect all our taxes in Ghana, tax revenue, 80% of our tax revenue is used in servicing our debt. The interest, though, not the actual money, that we are going to pay. In fact, as I speak to you now, 56% of all resources, not only tax resources, 60% of our oil resources, our mineral resources, our taxes together, goes into amortization and paying interest.
Okay.
Before we pay for payment for public sector workers.
Okay.
So after you take the 56%, you have to go for public sector workers, pay them. By the time we finish, there is very little resource for capital expenditure. And it's the reason why every day we are borrowing. Every day we are borrowing for capital expenditure like roads, for schools and hospitals.
Okay. Well,
That is the extent of the economy. That is the gloomy picture of Ghana's economy. It is the reason why Fitch and Moody have graded us that way. So what former president, his statement is here. He's asking us to go back to the century where we did. When you have problems and it is in you, nobody will see it. Gather all the resources in the country, including the human resources, and ask for help when you need help.
okay. And I'm sure the MPP will communicate that the help they need is, that is why they are channeling it through the e-levy, telling us how they are going to mobilize revenue from us locally to be able to pay for some of these debts and make sure that the economy is fine. But Lawyer Agute, do you agree that the economy isn't doing too well? Because if we are looking at the components that is causing all these, the cost of food is going up, fuel prices are expected to increase by 30% by the start of next week, and some other things as well. Do you agree to that?
Thank you very much. It is, you see, me when I go to programs, I ensure that I decipher reason from passion.
Okay.
And I address issues objectively. Times are hard. Times are really hard. Not only in Ghana, but in Ghana, let me restrict myself to Ghana. In Ghana, times are hard. So we cannot sit on set or anywhere and say that everything is well. Times are really hard. It is all because we are in difficult times. My honorable MP was talking about the fact that in 2019, these rating institutions rated Ghana B+. At least he mentioned Moody's and S&P. Now, 2019, after that, COVID-19 set in. It is clear that pre-COVID was better, and post-COVID, we have come back. So then what is the factor that brought us back? Mainly because of COVID-19. So it is not like we were not doing well and COVID-19 has come to worsen our plight. We were going up high, and COVID-19 brought the entire world economy down. In UK, prices are rising so high. In the US, it's rising. So it's a difficult moment for all governments at this time. So one cannot say that times are not hard and everything is rosy. But you see, when we have a challenge, we use so much of our GDP to service our debts. Then we have to sit back and look at solutions. In the days of the NDC, when they did not even have COVID effects, and they decided to go to IMF, they went to Senchi. They came out with it. And what the effect of it was that we have to go to IMF for a bailout. We went. And we got less than $1 billion US. Less than that. It came in three tranches annually. 330 million times 3. Less than $1 billion. We are proposing a home approach that will raise annually $1.2 billion. The NDC is saying no. We want to go and get money with Ghana. They are pushing us to go to IMF and get money from IMF. And that money from IMF is not free. It will add to our loan stock. So instead of going for a loan that will add to our loan stock, which is already at all-time high, why? And then we have another option that rather reduce it, maintain the loan where it is, raise money internally to support, to push the economy. Why is the NDC, if truly they have that Ghanaian spirit in them, why are they opposing it?
You believe they don't have that spirit in them?
Yes.
So what spirit do they have in them?
They have their party interest, the NDC interest. That is what they are pursuing. The NDC agenda is what they are doing. They are not pursuing the interest of Ghana because it is clear. You have two options. One, you went in, you got less than $1 billion for 3 years. We are coming with a proposal that will help us get 1.2 billion for 1 year. And for the 3 years, if all things being equal, we would have raised 3.6 billion as compared to your 1 billion with the conditionalities. Restriction on, you have to stop paying nurses their allowances. We have to stop paying teacher trainees their allowances. We have to stop recruiting. Government has to put a hold on recruitment into public sector for 3.5 years.
But now that
You
we
see,
are off,
so
before you continue, now that you mentioned unemployment and some conditionalities with regards to going back to IMF.
Yes.
Now that we are not with the IMF, have we been able? What is the percentage of people we've been able to roll into the public sector?
Oh, even in the November, December, immigration, fire service, prisons, and police, we recruited close to 12,000 Ghanaians. You understand that? We could have done that if we were under
That's
IMF.
the only thing. But the other
No, that is not the only thing. The previous year we did more.
Like
you see,
which
if
one and which one? Because for the ones you've mentioned, we know about.
And that is not a plus.
That's what I'm saying.
Could you have employed? Could you have employed if we under IMF conditionality?
We of course that were the
Yes.
conditions they were given us. You cannot employ.
Yes.
And we are off it.
They tied our hands. No,
Because,
but
you speak of
NABCO, even if we employ one person without will, without anybody restricting us, it's a plus. For me, that is good for Ghana. Our children who have completed JSS and universities with first degrees, master degrees, and doctorate who are sitting in the house, our brothers and sisters sitting in the house, at least a portion of them will have something to do and earn a living.
And that portion is the 1% you are referring to.
No, I'm not saying 1%. I said that instead of getting zero, if we are able to, even in 2021 alone, up to from November to now, we have recruited over about 12,000 people into the security services. That one alone. The teachers, we have, since we came to power, we've recruited close to about 65,000 of them. You understand that? They had finished school and they were in the house. They were not getting jobs.
Because there were none.
Trained teachers, because there was none. And IMF had tied the hands of the government at the back of, at its back. And we were unable to even employ one person. And now we have come. And then we are here, we are able to employ this, we are able to do this. 65,000 plus, we are still recruiting. Even now, we are even looking for more teachers to employ. We are employing the nurses who had finished, and we are giving them letters. We have also employed people into the security service. We are doing it. Is that not better than going to IMF, getting that peanuts, and then come back home, sit back, and will not be able to do anything for the Ghanaian who is hungry and needs money to survive?
But if you ask me, the peanuts you are referring to, with regards to what the IMF will give us if we go to them, of course it will be the same as what we are getting from the few numbers that we have been able to recruit into the public sector. Because you look at the larger percentage of the unemployed in the country, and you see how much we've been able to employ into the public sector. And when we weigh it, we realize that it's also as P as the IMF will be giving us.
No.
We've not really done any
No,
work.
it is, you cannot say that employing about 65,000 teachers is peanuts.
It's not only teachers.
You cannot say that taking just 2021 alone, I'm talking about 12,000 people into the services. The previous year they did it. Summing all together, I cannot give a total figure, but I'm sure that we have taken over 30,000 people. That is not peanuts. You understand that? That is not peanuts. See, the NDC in 2008 won power, managed with only 22,000 votes. So we are talking about 65 plus. So we are talking about over 100. I'm not even talking about NABCO and others. At least we'll have the free will to employ as and when the need arises. Our hands are not tied. We are not being restricted. We are not under anybody's restriction. So saying that the economy is in shambles, and for that matter, we should run to IMF, for me, is the last thing we should be thinking of as a nation.
But the amounts we are slapping on each Ghanaian to be paying as a result of the e-levy, have we asked ourselves how much the ordinary Ghanaian is even making at the end of the day, not to even talk of at the end of the month, and looking at the conditions of these people, if they'll be able to pay? Because you also admitted to it, times are very hard. People are parking their cars to pick public transport to go to wherever they have to go to because they cannot afford fuel anymore. people cannot trade anymore because businesses aren't going well, and they have taken loans to be able to maintain and sustain their businesses. It is not working. And so have we considered how much these people are able to make at the end of the day, and to even think of how they are going to pay this amounts that we are slapping on them?
To start with, the e-levy is not a tax that will be taken compulsorily. You decide to pay it or not.
It's a decision.
It's a decision. If I'm supposed to give you cash and I decide to send you Momo, it's a decision. Do you understand that? That is one. So government is not forcing anybody to pay e-tax. We are not forcing anybody to pay Momo, for example, to use Momo. But come to think along with me. As we speak today, the telcos, the telecommunication companies, the MTN. Let me use MTN because I use only MTN, not use any other network. MTN. When I am sending money, they take 1%. Yes. When the person at the other end is receiving it, he takes 1%. So MTN is taking 2% already in the system. Ghanaians are not complaining about it. They don't go to MTN for roads. They don't go to MTN for water. They don't go to MTN for employment. They don't go to MTN for anything. Now, the government that has the responsibility to provide these amenities and these things to Ghanaians is saying that, look, we have a problem, as it's obvious. He has even, that's why I'm not going to our debt stuff, because it's obvious that our debt situation is bad. Now, government is saying that, okay, instead of going to IMF to get 1 billion or whatever, we can internally raise money. So instead of, since MTN is taking 2% already, and you are not complaining, help us with just a little. Take 1.75. They have resisted. Now let's talk about 1.5.
Has it been approved?
Oh, not yet, but
so let's stick to the 1.75.
Okay, fine.
It hasn't been approved, so we can't.
But our new proposal is 1.5.
No. Let's stick to the 1.75. That is the issue on the ground. That is what came.
Okay, fine. 1.7. You see, 1.75 is charitable. These people, when
it is not charitable.
Let me tell you why. When they had the power, the chance in government to introduce VAT for the first time, they went 17.5. We had to demonstrate for them to bring it to 12.5. The NDC. So if we are starting with 1.5, if they were in government, they would have started
with 10%. From all indicating what you said, it was not feasible, and so there was a need for them to reduce. And that is exactly what Ghanaians are doing now. But you made mention of the 2% that MTN is taking.
Yes.
The Ministry of Communications should have had some interactions with these people. Government could have taken 1% from there. Why are you going to slap an extra 1.75% on that money that people send? And that is a discouragement from you.
No,
to
you
viewers.
see,
that, well, you shouldn't be trading in Momo. You should do with fiscal cash. Of course, it's not by force. And so if you don't want to pay that tax, then you will not do Momo.
No, you see, and sometimes for me, I see the Momo tax as very moderate for me.
Very moderate.
Yes. If I'm to send money to my people in the village, I buy fuel about 200 cedis to go and give them the money. At least 200 and come back. But if I have
how far do you go?
Oh, I go to I have two places.
Okay.
Bojase in the central region,
right,
and Akachi in the Volta region.
Okay.
So at least 200 cedis. You understand that? So if my 200 cedis, instead of 200 cedis, I will just pay about 20 cedis or 30 cedis or 40 cedis and let them have that money. I think that I've been able to save some money.
If you are sending 200 cedis?
If I'm sending them
cedis.
money, let's say I want to send 1,000 Ghana cedis to my people. I had to spend 200 cedis at least to buy fuel to go and
give the 1,000.
Yes. So in effect, I'm spending 200. That's 1.2. But if you are sending Momo, it is just 10 for MTN, then 1.75, which is 17.5 for government, which is 27.5 Ghana cedis. You understand that? That is far less than the 200 how we used to buy fuel. And mind you, the e-levy is not a two-way tax. It's a one-way tax. The person sending it is the one who pays the e-levy. The person receiving it at the other end, unlike the MTN, will not pay anything. MTN, you pay at the sending end, and you pay at the receiving end.
But you know that the other networks that are not charging that money.
Of course, but if and I'm saying that if we have a means of getting things done, we can continue with free SHS because we are getting enough to support it. We can continue with NAPCO because we get enough to support it. We'll continue paying teachers and nurses allowances because we're getting money. We'll continue doing what government is doing for it. In the history of Ghana, INPP is the only government that has brought in interventions, social interventions that has improved the living conditions of Ghana.
How has it improved living
When we came,
conditions
I'm
of
telling you,
Ghanaians? When
see,
people,
see,
you just even alluded to the
no,
fact that times are hard.
and I also said that it is a global phenomenon. It is not limited only to Ghana.
Now we have to stop singing this COVID song.
Oh no, we cannot stop it. We cannot stop it.
It has affected everything, and so we use that to
cannot stop
always
it.
back some of the very low key, unwarranted comments that we pass about some of the policies that we introduce, especially with the e-levy, where now they are saying, well, if we don't pay e-levy, free SHS cannot continue. But this is a promise you gave. You didn't base your promise on e-levy.
But
when people pay e-levy, that is when you're going to have free SHS and NAPO and all. And meanwhile, NAPO isn't even doing well.
Government machine cannot grind. Governance must continue. You understand that? And governance is not only about spending. It's about raising income and using same to better the loss of Ghanaians. Okay. So we are talking about, and if we have bottlenecks in our revenue generation side, and we are finding creative means of actually improving on that situation so that we can, at the end of spending, spend enough to better the loss of Ghana. I think it's a cause that every Ghanaian must support. That is what I'm saying.
All right. I think on this show, I also spoke about the fact that we'll have to really understand how e-levy is going to work. And if we'll be holding them accountable for the monies that will be accrued at the end of the day and to what they are promising they're used for, then I'm sure the ordinary Ghanaian there who is also willing to transact business electronically and willing to pay, like he's saying, it's very minimal. It is not painful to pay 2% to MTN and then have an additional 1.75 on it. And so it is not painful. I mentioned that we will have to understand how this is going to work and how we hold government accountable for the use of the monies that are going to be accrued. But you know, you mentioned debt. That is briefly. Then I'll come to
before that. Let me add that I am not against the collection of revenue through e-levy, but I am for accountability of the proceeds that will come out of it. That is where I think all Ghanaians must focus.
But have you been able to account for anything?
No, so that we, as part of the processes, we ask government to seclude e-levy revenue from its consolidated funds and or whatever, so that we can all focus on it. That we can hold government accountable to come and tell us what it is doing with our e-levy, either on monthly basis or quarterly basis or something. Let us push our attention to the accountability aspects and leave the generation. Because generation, there's no nation in this world that does not raise taxes. If, as we are speaking now, when the first time we introduced the talk levy, then they see kicked against it. They came to power for 8 years. They did not scrap it. Okay. You understand? It means that they need it for the day-to-day running of government. So please,
all right.
let us do what we have Ghana.
From what he's saying, is it true that the NDC isn't too happy about this particular introduction of e-levy? That you are not happy about it, and so you don't want it. It is very detrimental to Ghanaians. It will not help the economy at all. It will rather get the economy at its lowest point. Is that true?
Thank you, my sister. I think my good friend started with an assertion that he likes, when he gets to radio, he likes to do the discussions without emotions. But he started straight away with emotions and said, it is the NDC. Yes, he started straight away with emotions and said, it is the NDC that is against.
I see.
And I'm stating it on your network, Yadua TV, that whatever we will do as a caucus, as a party, NDC, if you think what we are doing is to the benefit of Ghanaians, if it is NDC's attempt to frustrate government for the benefit of Ghanaians, we are prepared. We will do it 10 times.
But you do it for them to put it away. But when you have the chance to also exhibit it, you also come in freely.
I'm coming there. We have stated unequivocally that this particular e-levy Even if it is passed today, when we come, we will reverse it. And that is why, you see, there are series of events. It is not a 6.9 billion.
What are you going to reverse?
We will reverse
Which
it.
aspect of it? What
The
part
whole
of it don't
tax.
you like that you're going to change?
The whole e-levy. It's not about a percentage. It's not about a threshold. The whole e-levy. You see, I want to go step back because he has said a lot of things.
Yeah.
When you are in the household, you know the economy is by households, and then the aggregation of the household, now it becomes the whole economy. When you are in the household, and then you have challenges, what do you do? There are three things that you do, and that is what every government also does. One, you look at your expenditure. Two, you look at your revenue. Three, if the two did not help you, then you go for an external support when you think that the two did not help you. So, you are a parent. You used to live in a particular lifestyle. And then there is a challenge. Either you have a job challenge or something, or your pay has been reduced or something. What you have to look at is, look at the expenditure you used to do and reduce that expenditure. Then again, you can go and say, okay, let me do whether I can do another job, add another or two jobs to what I'm doing to increase my revenue. Then if the two fail, you come back and say, okay, let me go to a friend, let me go to a colleague, let me go to a church member and look for support.
So not be free.
Good, which will not be free. And nobody goes out to look for support when you are free, when you have everything. You go out to look for support when you have challenges. So when you have challenges, never think about the nuances of what the challenges will bring. Because we did not go to the IMF because we wanted to go to IMF. We thought that at that time it was beneficial to go to IMF rather than burden the already burdened Ghanaians. Look, the preamble of this year's budget states clearly that COVID has ravaged our economy. And that is what he has been mentioning. The people that COVID has ravaged, you said the people should burden share. And then now you are putting the burden on the people. So back to my 3 points. What is the expenditure about? What has been our expenditure? Look, I can tell you single item by single item, but because I don't have my budget statement here. But I can pick one item and tell you, Office of Government Machinery has been increasing astronomically since 2017. In fact, in 2016, the government spent a little over 600 million on the Office of Government Machinery. That is the government under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Today, Office of Government Machinery is 3.2 billion. Today, as we speak to you now, we have a private jet sitting there. First, it was hiring. Now, it is lease. As we speak now, we have over 1,600 people working under Office of Government Machinery, which used to be 600 under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. We used to have 85 ministers. We went as much as 125 in the first term. Now it has reduced, but it is still not up to 85. So every place, everything that you look at every expenditure has been increasing. So what we are asking the government is to reduce the expenditures. Look, he spoke about COVID. Everything they spoke about COVID. But what they have not been telling Ghanaians is the amount of money that they receive in COVID. What did they actually use those money for?
I asked the communication team member for the MPP, I think last Wednesday. I asked them what that money was used for when we were speaking about accountability, where when the monies they are purporting will help put the economy back at its feet. If we'll be able to hold government accountable for it, we've not been able to get any accounts from the monies that were given to government to be able to manage COVID-19. And so how are we even sure that when this e-levy is taken, government will come and account for the monies that they've been able to accrue, and with the promises that they are bringing? He didn't have anything to release.
Look, my sister, look, In 2020-2021 alone, one COVID struck, we had $1 billion concessional facility from IMF. $1 billion concessional facility from IMF. Another $1 billion in SDR allocation. We also had 430 million from the World Bank. We had 250 million from the stabilization fund created by John Mills, John Mahama. We had 10 billion from the central government. They printed 10 billion cedis for them. A total of 33 billion Ghana cedis. 33 billion. How much is e-levy going to give us? 1 year, 6.9 billion. We had 33 billion to combat COVID.
No, that is not right. 25.59.
Who said that?
I say so.
From where?
Let me give you the details.
I'm giving you the details here.
No, that is a propaganda piece of document.
Why do you refer to?
So which one are you getting yours from, Lawyer Aguche?
From the COVID-19 expenses and the income and expenses table. So
You see, please, I'm on. I am on. You see,
no, but you are misinforming the
I am
public.
not misinforming the public.
We did
You
not
are
get
rather
the-
misinforming
we did not
because
get 33 billion.
even this money,
We got
That's
25
why I'm asking where you are.
even
getting
this
your
money
figures
does
from.
not include the COVID-19 trust fund. This money that I mentioned doesn't include the
Okay,
trust fund.
allow
Yes.
us to talk.
Let me go. So when I finish, you bring your authentic information. I am telling you, this is the minimal.
This is John Mohammed's statement.
This is not John Mohammed's statement.
This
Go.
is
You see,
a propaganda piece you have
until
You
that
see?
didn't include the 430 million that the World Bank director mentioned 3 days ago.
Yes.
Does it include it?
Yes.
Until he mentioned it, no government official has ever mentioned it. Until the World Bank director mentioned it this week, no government official. And I promise you that if he had not mentioned it, your authentic information, it will not have been there. So I'm telling you that this government has been living large. So you don't go straight to the people to go and tax the
But what
people.
you're saying is that we've increased our expenditure.
We have increased our expenditure. Look, we have a lease airline standing there. We pay. In fact, the president used to spend $14,000 dollars every day, every hour that we use that aircraft for his travels.
But e-levy is going to allow Ghana
Look,
to purchase its
look,
own.
my sister, that is the fallacy, and that is my problem. Look, this is the standing orders of parliament. Look, yesterday, and the World Bank director mentioned it. It has been my biggest problem with this government. What we call waivers. We want to take e-levy from the people. We are giving people waivers for so-called 1D, 1F when we are growing negative in industrial development in industry. Go and check the budget. We grew negative in the industrial sector. Meanwhile, we are supposed to have one district, one factory that we are still giving waivers to. Just yesterday, on the floor of Parliament, these are the waivers that have been presented for us to approve. It has not been approved, but it has been laid on the floor of Parliament. In fact, yesterday when the waivers were being laid, I was in the leadership chair yesterday. So how I wish I could get it. But it amounted to over $200 million yesterday, waivers. And has been consistent. So these are the expenditures that we are making. Look, my brother said, NDC is there to frustrate government not to pass the e-levy. How many of us are in Parliament? How many members of the NDC members of Parliament are there? We are 137. How many MPP members plus the independent candidate do they have? How many do they have? 138. If they really mean to pass e-levy, they should pass it. What we are saying is that we've stated our position.
After fighting and beating them when they were about to do it.
Fighting and beating who?
Oh,
Fighting and beating who?
When you were there
Have you seen one person fight before?
Didn't you?
No, have you seen one person fight before?
Was about to. Oh, but you started it.
Please, have you seen
You
one
started
person
the
fight
rush
before?
him and
Please,
started pushing him back.
please,
But that was-
don't
was
say.
e-levy.
You see,
Yes, they were,
lawyer,
yes.
lawyer, don't
So
say.
they were in the process.
Don't
if
say
they were
what-
the ones that going to cast his vote, that would have been a thing of the past now. But
You
they
see?
frustrated it by
You see?
fighting,
You see?
using brute force
Lawyer.
tactics
Lawyer.
to halt it.
Lawyer, you see,
that's
I'm
what
afraid
happened.
to say this. I don't want to say this.
Oh,
You
but
see,
should I show you the video?
It
you
is,
see,
it is only clear that dialogue isn't used in
I am
Parliament
a member
now.
of Parliament. You don't need to show me the video because I was there.
Yes, and you saw what happened.
So allow me to tell you what was there because you don't know what happened.
Oh, no, but what I saw,
The voting there was not on e-levy. The voting that brought the chaos was not on the e-levy. And
But it was on one.
It is on an attempt to take the e-levy bill under a certificate of urgency.
Yes, it is not the process to approve it.
You see,
you halted the process to approve it.
The thing that we said
that is why we are where we are today.
You see, that's not where we are today.
Oh,
we are where we are today because of the recklessness of the expenditure that you have made that I'm talking about.
We would have listen, we would have raised so much for by now.
Please, I am asking you today. Since we came.
Yes, we would have had enough.
Since this session.
Road, the beautiful roads we have done.
Please, you see,
in
that is
communities.
Those
in my community.
You see, those are some of the.
You mean in Accra? You've not seen it.
Those are the.
I'll be
I
surprised.
have seen a few, especially.
Those are the dust that you are throwing into the public eye.
I have seen a few.
Those are the dust that you are throwing.
Major problems when it comes to.
You see, my brother.
Lawyer.
You see, my brother. You see what happened.
Yes.
You see, when we refer a bill to a committee in Parliament, there's a memo that follows that bill. The memo determines the nature of the bill. The e-levy bill, they don't come to Parliament as a certificate of urgency. In fact, the budget itself is not a certificate of urgency. So the bill, the e-levy bill, did not come. But when the Committee of Finance met, they considered that bill under a certificate of urgency. There was a voting on that committee. It was 12-12, and then the casting vote by the chair of the committee
determined it.
When the bill came, when the committee's report came to the floor of Parliament, the plenary raised that issue because every committee's report, a proposal, they are not in itself final. So then the House will have to determine whether it was under certificate of urgency. It was at that time that the chair wanted to leave the football field, come and wear a jersey, play a penalty, and go and be a referee. That is what we try to avoid. Have you seen a one person fight before? It takes two to tango. Assuming it is NDC members who are violent.
What a nice.
Assuming it is NDC members who are violent. Please, it takes the marshals in Parliament to maintain law and order. Why didn't he take the marshals? Why did he take the MPP? So you see, it is both sides who engage.
But we saw a Parliament that an NDC member picked a whole marshal and put him on the floor.
Where?
In Parliament when we were transiting from
in a cross-hall takedown manner.
Very good. Did you see a minister? Do you see members of Parliament showing their vote that they have casted when it was supposed to be
vote of confidence,
private, when it's supposed to be secret ballot? Did you see that? Did you see a member of Parliament carrying away the ballot papers in his mouth? Did you see that? You didn't see that.
I didn't see that.
You didn't see a member of Parliament being chased when he took the papers and he was running away. You didn't see that.
So what asked me?
So I am telling you that anytime somebody decides to break,
there are some NDC MPs there. I don't want to mention names because
you see, anytime
they have made themselves.
Anytime anybody decide to break this is our constitution. You have the duty. You have the duty to safeguard this constitution, just like the lawyer. He's a lawyer.
What the constitution say?
You see, anytime, please allow me. Anytime.
No, let me talk about it.
No, I'll give you
please,
the chance.
I'll tell you, you're a lawyer.
Yes, but I also know the position of the law.
You know,
yes,
anytime you see this is broken or somebody is trying to set this outside, you have the duty to resist that person. That is what we did. You see, let me tell you how voting is done. There are 3 conditions in Parliament under which voting is by secret.
Yes.
When we are electing somebody to a constitutional position, or when we are removing somebody from a constitutional position, or when we are changing a law, a particular law. 3 conditions. So when we are electing a speaker,
you're removing.
You are removing a speaker, or when you are voting for members of government ministers, you are voting on them to confirm or not to confirm. All those things. Those are the 3 conditions. All other voting in Parliament are public.
Okay.
So when somebody votes and show the vote that this is my vote.
Don't you think it's on the back of the numbers that were accrued with regards to the speakership? That is another way the majority at the time thought, or the MPP thought, they could have their members do that to be able to confirm.
But that is breaking the law. That is breaking the standing orders and the constitution.
Okay.
So if you break the law, then every ballot that you have put in is invalid.
Okay.
And that is what happened on the 7th.
Thank you very much, Honorable. And Lawyer Agbote, you can come in 2 minutes and then we'll call it a day.
You see, on that day, what happened was that the speaker, you see, the constitution is very clear on that one, that if the deputy speaker is acting as a speaker, he loses his vote. That one is very clear.
Yeah. That's what we didn't really understand. So we needed some lawyers to come and
yes,
explain.
I think did you
yes,
call me on that one? Yes.
Called you and some
Please
others
say it
as well.
again. You said what?
I said that if the deputy minister, the deputy speaker, any one of them mounts to act as a speaker,
Yes.
he or she loses the right to vote.
Okay.
That's the position of the law.
Okay. So why was he trying to vote?
Thank you. But so the question now for determination is whether or not at the time Joe Wise was up on his seat as a speaker, he was still acting as a speaker, or he now has become an ordinary MP with the right to vote.
Please.
No. That is why I have done the analysis of this on many programs. That the problem now, I think it's a lacuna in the constitution as to whether when the first speaker sit or second, the deputy speakers,
yes,
when they sit on the seat of the speaker, the constitution, when they are acting, they lose the right to vote. You understand that?
So why was he trying to vote? That's my
So
question.
they lose the right to vote. But when is he deemed to be acting as the speaker? When he's seated or even when he gets up?
Order 13. Read Order 13. It will tell you.
You understand that?
Order 13 of our
You understand that?
Here.
So the
Read
man
it,
was
read
up
it.
on his feet.
But
He did not know whether he was going to vote or he was even going to
Please,
the judge.
please,
lawyer.
please.
Yes, no, just
He said it there that, but to tell you, honorable members,
he
that after this
explained.
man said, after this man vote, I'm also going to vote.
because he's an MP with the right to vote in
Please,
Parliament.
Order
All right.
13
And when he gets
permit
up,
him.
another person comes in.
Order-
He's no more the
Please, that is
speaker
a
at the time.
kangaroo approach to
And that is why you came boxing them.
Why is a
From your
kangaroo
explanation,
approach?
then that will
You
not
should
hold.
get points.
From your explanation, that will not hold. Well, these are messages coming in from those watching, and it says, Kwablanvi of Pokwase, it says, John Mahama time, he didn't force vulnerable Ghanaians to pay any killer tax like
Yeah, you're not
e-levy,
forcing them.
and he
You're
didn't
forcing
increase
them. No.
prices of fuel,
You're telling
ECG
me
bills,
that it's
pure
not by
water,
force.
It's not by force.
rough, pure water, rough. Now pure water is
It's not
30
by force.
pesos.
See, there's no time
Like
to
President
discuss this.
Akufo-Addo. So
Maybe
John
that's what
Mahama
you
is
mean.
far
Yes.
better than President Akufo-Addo when it comes to management of Ghana economy. And it goes on. Another message says, good morning to your panelists. The government has made it difficult for its communicators to see how the MPP man is struggling to explain e-levy. My regards to Honorable Ramsey Adams.
It's not difficult.
It's very difficult for you, my brother.
Okay, so Facebook,
I don't envy
there's
you
a
at
message
all.
there. It says that this is from Bepag Chris. Good morning, Madam Host, and my noble and vibrant MP from Tyne, Honorable Ramsey Adumawura. I'm sure it's Ejumawura. You want to say? Tell him he should murder the MPP man with facts on issues.
Oh, yeah,
Mr.
he
MPP
can
man,
do that.
you are finest today
he can
because
do that.
you are
He
with
can do
Second
that.
General by Kofi Chris inside Sekwa. Now, Sairam says, you would have raised so much funds by now. That's a question the person is
On the road
also
post.
asking. There's a message here. So, funding sources for the 2020 and 2021 budgets following the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. And on IMF, we have 5.85 billion cedis. World Bank, we have 2.58 billion cedis. European Union, 504 million cedis. African Development Bank, that's the ADB, 405.65 million cedis. Korea, 349 million cedis. Germany, 280.99 million cedis. Government of Ghana, 4.51 billion cedis. Bank of Ghana, 10 billion cedis. And then GOG Contingency Fund, 1.2 billion cedis, with a total of 25.59 billion cedis on funding sources for the 2020 and 2021 budget following the impact.
Admit it. Admit it.
You are?
No, admit it. Even if it's 25 billion,
No
it
more.
couldn't do anything for you. And you are looking for 6 billion, 6.9 billion.
6 billion a year.
In levy.
A year.
All right. Thank you
mean,
so
a
much.
year.
It's a minute to 9, and then we'll call it.
Next time,
Thank you very
bring
much,
the
gentlemen.
2 of us and give us 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we have a
didn't
little
finish.
less
We didn't finish.
to 2 hours. So thank you so much for coming. My
Thank you
guests
too.
have been the Honorable Member for Tyne Constituency, Honorable Suleiman Adams, right? Yes, he has been speaking on behalf of the NDC, and also lawyer Agbete for I appreciate it. And it's been interesting. Thanks to all who watched on Facebook. Thanks to all who contributed. And thanks to the technical team, the producers, and everyone. You see, a big thank you to your sponsors as well. Tomorrow, God willing, we'll meet you on the show. And I hope you're having a very good day. Do enjoy the rest of your day. It's bye for now. My name is Anastasia. Bye.